There comes a time in every man's life when the crowd disappears, the applause fades, and familiar voices fall silent. In that hour of emptiness, he may believe he's been forsaken, but in truth, he's been positioned for something greater. For when a man has no one but God, he is standing on the edge of his most powerful transformation. No longer does he depend on the opinions of others. No longer does he search for validation in the temporary. It is in this sacred solitude that he learns to hear the whisper of purpose rising from within. His trials no longer break him, they refine him. His pain becomes the forge of power. In the absence of every human comfort, he discovers an unshakable strength that does not bend to the storms of life. He learns that the silence is not enchants, it's full of instruction. The delay is not denial, it's divine development. When there is no one left to run to, he looks up, and there he finds everything he ever needed. God becomes his planner, his provider, his protector, and in that partnership, he unlocks a force that no man, no circumstance, no failure can defeat. This man becomes a builder of destiny, not because of what he has, but because of who he walks with. Alone, he looked weak, but with God, he becomes unstoppable. And from that place of seeming nothingness, he rises not just to survive, but to conquer. Every setback is a setup for divine alignment. What looks like failure in the moment is often a redirection, not a rejection. When doors close, opportunities vanish, and plans fall apart, it's easy to feel abandoned or defeated. But life's greatest breakthroughs are rarely born in comfort. They're forged in struggle. The delay, the disappointment, the detour each one carries within it, a lesson, a nudge, a realignment towards something greater. You may not understand it in the moment, but when you look back, you'll see how every loss repositions you, how every fall refines you, and how every setback carved out space for clarity, strength, and purpose. Nothing happens by accident when you're connected to something higher. The universe doesn't subtract without the intention to multiply later. So don't curse your setbacks, study them. Don't resist them, rise through them, because in truth, they're not setbacks at all. They are setups, precise, purposeful setups for the destiny that's already written for you. When man is left alone, he is finally ready to listen to his inner voice. As long as he is surrounded by noisy opinions, distractions, expectations, lutation, and constant chatter, rarely hears the quiet truth within himself. But when the world grows silent, when friends walk away, and when the spotlight fades, something powerful begins to stir. In the stillness of solitude, he is no longer guided by the demands of others, but by the whisper of his own soul. It is here, in isolation, that the false layers fall away. Ego, the performance, the pretense seemed, the authentic self starts to emerge. This is not weakness. This is awakening. The inner voice that once seemed distant now speaks with clarity and authority. It reminds him of who he truly is and why he was created. Alone, he is not loosely as being fine-tuned. This inner voice does not shout, it guides. It reveals vision, purpose, and the next right depth. And once a man learns to trust it, he no longer fears being alone, for he understands that within the silence lies the wisdom that can't be found in the noise of the world. God becomes the greatest ally when all others walk away. When people you trusted turn their backs, when relationships crumble, and when support vanishes, it can feel like the world has abandoned you. But it is often in these moments of deepest loneliness that you come face to face with the one presence that never leaves. While man's loyalty may waver, God's presence is unchanging. When there is no one left to call, no one left to lean on, you discover that God does not just stand beside you, he carries you. He becomes your strength when you are weak. your guide when you are lost, your hope when all else fails. What once felt like rejection by people turns out to be protection and preparation by a higher power. In the absence of human help, divine help steps in with perfect timing, perfect wisdom, and perfect love. You begin to realize that you were never alone to begin with. You were simply being led to rely on the one ally who never fails, never forgets, and never gives up on you. And once you've walked with God through your darkest valley, no crowd can ever impress you again, but no abandonment can ever break you again. Isolation is the incubator of vision. When a man is removed from the noise of the world, the distractions, the demands, separation, a mighty world, the constant pull of external expectations is placed in a sacred space where true clarity can emerge. It is in isolation that the mind is no longer overwhelmed by the opinions of others and that are conceited than the worders, and the heart becomes still enough to receive higher instruction. Faith is the only currency when resources run dry. There are times in life when material wealth, human support, and external resources seem to evaporate. The bank account is empty, opportunities are scarce, and every door appears locked. In those moments, the world might suggest you have nothing left to give, that your dreams are out of reach. But it is precisely in those moments of scarcity that faith becomes your most powerful asset. When the physical world fails to supply what you need, faith allows you to tap into an unseen reservoir of strength, possibility, and guidance. Faith is the belief in what cannot be seen, the trust that something greater is at work. In sorts that the works in malfrastance, and the assurance that abundance can come from places you cannot yet comprehend. When resources run dry, it is faith that opens the door to new opportunities, unseen connections, and miraculous solutions. Faith shifts your perspective, enabling you to see potential where others see obstacles. It gives you the confidence to act when everything around you suggests inaction. And it is through this unwavering belief that doors will open, resources will manifest, and the impossible will become possible. In times of lack, faith becomes the bridge between where you are and where you are destined to be. Isolation is the incubator of vision. In a world filled with constant distractions, noise, and the relentless pull of society's expectations, and the world be less societizens. The mind rarely has a chance to focus on what truly matters. Yet, it is in isolation when the external world fades away that the mind is given the space to think freely. It the minds of mystery to think place and where eat of persons, without influence or interruption. In solitude, a man can reconnect with his innermost desires, his dreams, and his purpose. This is where clarity emerges, where ideas are born, and where vision begins to take shape. Isolation strips away the superficial, allowing only what is essential to rise to the surface. It is in these quiet, uninterrupted moments that true inspiration strikes ideas that would otherwise be drowned out by the chaos of everyday life. Just as a seed needs the darkness of the soil to grow, vision requires the stillness of isolation to develop and flourish. The absence of external pressures allows the mind to delve deeper, to connect the dots between past experiences and future aspirations.